Hi everyone, it's Nono Martinez Alonso here, and this is one more live stream. In this live stream, we take a look at things that have to do with creative coding and machine intelligence, and also things that have to do with the Getting Simple podcast. Specifically, today, as you might have seen on the cover page, we're taking a look at DALL-E's Image API. This is OpenAI's latest API, which is still in beta. I'm going to talk about it more. I received an email last weekend that this was now available as an API. We had been able to use it and we've used it in this channel before. There are some videos there that cover what DALL-E is and how you can use it through the web interface. And to give you some overview on this concept, an API is a system that we can call from other programs, right? Like we can code on the command line interface or with programming languages such as Python or JavaScript, and we can make requests. So send a prompt and receive an OpenAI DALL-E image. Before, we would go to the labs page where you have an actual DALL-E application, which indeed is probably using the API in the background, right? But it was just restricted before. Now you can pay per image generation. We're gonna see all of that today. The first thing I would really appreciate if you can let me know in the chat if you can see me okay, if you can hear me okay. A couple days ago, I tried to record this live stream and I actually went live, but because I have this new stream deck here and I got a bit confused with the setup, I silenced my microphone and I had to kind of scratch all of that. I had like 20 minutes of video of the things that I'm going to cover right now that actually got, I deleted them because they're not useful at all. So I have here a set of slides that we're going to cover, and hopefully this gives you an idea of how to do this on your own. As always, make sure that you subscribe and click on the bell if you want to get notified when I go live next or when I upload new videos. And liking the video lets me know that you're liking the content, you're enjoying these topics, and that you want me to keep showing up and uploading more videos. All right, so let's take a look here. The first section, right, that we have is or the only section that I have right now is this one of DALL-E. And as I always say on the live stream, we are going to use this format to maybe later produce uploaded videos of this presentation. So if you see me repeating certain things or like now recording an intro, it's because of that. All right, let's get started, and feel free to say hi on the chat to let me know where you're connecting from, and if you have any questions, just drop them there. We can take a look at them later. Today's live stream would be more or less, I think, 50 or 40 more minutes. Awesome. Let's get started. Hi everyone, it's Nono Martinez Alonso here, and this is a really quick overview on how to use the Image API provided by OpenAI to interact with DALL-E programmatically. This means that you can implement in your own applications or through the command line an endpoint or a service that is going to allow you to send prompts and some other properties and receive back generated images that have indeed been generated by DALL-E's OpenAI. So the first thing that I want to talk about today, we got an email not long ago talking about openai.com/API releasing the Image API as a beta API. And this is now, if you log in, you'll see this welcome back screen. You put your email, put your password, and you'll get access to a set of APIs, not only the Image API. The first note I want to do here is you'll be charged for each image generation that you do, right? I'm going to show the pricing now. In my case, I got $18 for free when I first signed up for the trial, but it has expired by now, so I wasn't able to use it because I haven't been using the API. I was just using the DALL-E application on the web. And you will have to go to billing and set up a payment method. That's a credit card. If you want to start using the API, unless you have some free trial credit, you'll have to do that because you'll start accruing some costs as you make calls to this API. The costs are fairly cheap for what it does, but also not cheap if you're just planning to experiment and try a lot of times, like we have done in previous live streams. For 1024 images, the price is 2 cents of a dollar, and it goes down to 1.8 and 1.6 dollars, so cents of a dollar per image, if you go down to 512 and 256. This doesn't mean that each request has that price, because in each request, as we'll see right now, you can ask for from 1 to 10 images. So you can accrue, for example, in the 2024 size from 2 cents to 20 cents in just one request, where you might get from 1 to 10 images. All right. To build an application, right now, DALL-E offers text completion, code completion, fine-tuning, embeddings, APIs for different tasks. And just this week, they released the beta of image generation. You can generate and edit images, but also request for image variations. And we're going to see more detail of that right now. The image generation API, as I said, allows you to, one, create images from scratch based on a text prompt. This is kind of what Midjourney and other networks are allowing us to do. We just send, for example, say, give me the picture of a cat running over a table or something like that, and the image gets generated. The second one is creating edits of an existing image based on a new text prompt. Here we have to send a text prompt plus the mask of the part of the image that we want to modify or edit. This was done on the website version through an interface they did, so you could paint blobs that will turn transparent and will get edited when we submitted the new prompts. And then the third method is creating variations of an existing image. And this just requests from you or asks for you to send an input image, and they will just generate a different image from that. Variations of images that look similar. The API is in beta and there's some limitations right now, but it's fully working and we've tested it. So the first method is generations. The image generation endpoint, as I said before, allows you to ask for 3 different sizes of images. And as you can see on this call, you can ask or submit for an image based on a prompt. And then you can ask from 1 to 10 images, and then the size can be 1024, 256, or 512, and we'll get an image back. And here you can see in the image URL that we're actually getting the response data first item, because data is an array. It can contain from 1 to 10 URLs of images if you don't specify anything. We're going to see a bit more in a bit more detail this the documentation of this specific endpoint. All right, the second one is edits. As I have said, and you can see on the bottom, edits require an input image, but also a mask. I'm going to detail a bit more about what that mask needs to be and how we can make it. I'm going to show an example. And you'll get an output image. In this case, they're passing I can zoom in here a bit. This mask where it's saying, okay, modify this part of the image, and the prompt is actually a sunlit indoor lounge area with a pool containing a flamingo. So the modified or the new prompt actually contains also the context of the existing image for probably continuity, right? So it's not super different. And this is what we get. It actually proposes or generates a flamingo image in there that makes sense with the context of the prompt that has been provided and the location that we selected. So a note on the mask, right? For these masks, we need PNG images. We need them to be 4 megabytes in size or less each and have the same dimensions as each other. So they can have different dimensions, but both images have to be the same. So it doesn't need to be 1024 when you send it, but they have to have the same one. And then a note on the masks, right? It just says that the non-transparent areas of the mask are not used. That means that even though here we're seeing this mask with the actual image around it, that doesn't really matter. This could be all black or white or have whatever content, as long as there is an alpha channel on the mask image that tells DALL-E where it has to remove the original image and propose something new. And that would actually look something like this, right? Like we could actually send that mask in black as long as the transparent area is on the alpha channel, and it would work the same. And then lastly, we have this variations endpoint, which allows us to create variations of an image. We just send a PNG, specify a size and the number of images that we want back, and this is what we'll get, right? In the bottom image, you can actually see there is a cat, there is a dog, and there is a paw, right? That's the input image. But in the output image, we have all those elements as well. It's fairly similar, but really different at the same time. And it's still very surprising that this works. One thing that you might have noticed, right? And we're going to see in a second, is that on DALL-E's OpenAI's documentation page, we have this drop down here to select different forms of seeing these requests. We're going to see that in a second. And directly, we can jump into some things that we're going to see here. Let me actually jump ahead to the documentation. So if you go to the list documentation page, right, like where you can, I'm going to show where to go to this right now. You actually get documentation for each of the methods in this way. So you actually on the right get this code as a curl request that allows you to request an image and get it on your terminal. So that's a console terminal that I'm referring to. So for example, if I were to go here into my terminal, I could make a request to something here, and I could do curl, make a get request to none of them slash about, for example, right? And I will get the HTML that would be rendered on the website if this was open on a browser, right? So the same way, we just need to add here the endpoint that DALL-E is telling us here. So for example, this one. So for example, this one here, and a few other things that have to do with the content type of the request body, the authorization bearer token. This is an API key we'll see right now. And then the prompt, the number of images, and the size. And what this page actually tells you is all of the parameters that we need to have on the request body so the request is successful. In this case, we have prompt as the only required argument, and we have 4 more that are optional. So for example, n is the number of images, can go from 1 to 10. Size is defaults to 1024, but can be also this other, and this will change the price, as will the number of images. Then response format, we can get URL for getting an array of URLs for the generated images that we can open on the web browser, or B64. We'll get the image data encoded as a B64 string that we could then save as an image in our disk, right? This is more useful if you want to generate an application that actually downloads the images and displays them, or maybe downloads them to disk as you're requesting them. And then the user, we're going to ignore it. It serves OpenAI to monitor and detect abuse from bots and other users. And that's not something super important right now. If you go, actually, if I can show you here the actual website, right? I'm going to go to openai.com/API, and I'm going to open this on my browser. So as I showed before, we can just log in, and we'll get prompted for our email that we used to register on DALL-E, also on OpenAI. And then we'll get also prompted for our password. So after this, we're going to log in into the OpenAI website, and we'll be able to navigate through the things that I've shown you before. So for instance, here I can go to view API keys, which is a page where you'll generate API keys so you can actually interact with the API. So if we go back to the slides, you can see that there is this mention to your API key all the time. I have here an example. This is a fake API key, so you can try it, but it doesn't really work. And one thing that I can do here to obfuscate it while I'm running other commands is that if I add this to my source file on bash or zsh on the terminal, for example, on Mac, I expose it as a variable every time I open a new terminal. But if I run export OpenAI API key and do this and run this once on a terminal session, the variable name will be available only for that bash session, right? So we can test that here. So for example, if we had something like export sample, let's just put here sample variable, right? We can do here live stream. Well, actually it can be anything, right? You can do live stream 87, right? We export that, and now that variable is available anytime to this terminal session, right? So this window, if I open a new tab and try to run the same command, we're gonna see that that is actually not available anymore because it hasn't been defined here, right? So with that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and move this terminal to the left, so to the other screen, or maybe just set my other camera so you don't see it, because you need to keep this as a secret, right? And what we're gonna do is that we're going to do that. So we're gonna expose that variable on the terminal session, and that way we'll be able to make API calls using that variable name without having to actually write the API key all the time, right? So let's try. Let's see if I can find my key. I have it here, right? All right, so I'm typing here export OpenAI API key, and this is just a name that I chose to write, and I'm gonna test that that works, and that works. All right, so now I'm gonna clear here. Great. All right, so now I have that variable exposed on my terminal session, and we can keep going here. Awesome. So as I said, now I would be able to run things here. So what I was explaining is that this is really useful. So this is what I just did, and then you can access your OpenAI API key on terminal. And yeah, hello, hi Mohammed. I can see that there's some people online. Thanks for joining us live. And so let's keep going. The first thing we can do once we have the OpenAI API key exposed on terminal is that we can actually make a request to openai.com to tell us a listing of what models are available. This would be useful if you want to make a full-fledged application where you maybe get a listing of the models and allow people to interact with that list, or maybe use different models depending on what's available. So I'm going to actually go to the documentation page and show you a few things there. So we go to authentication, right? So this explains you how to do it. And what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to call this one. So it seems, yeah. So we just want to make a simple call here, right? So we just have to call this api.openai.com v1 models. And as I said before, we're going to write here OpenAI API key. Note that if I just do this, this is not going to work, because these simple quotes are actually telling them that this has to be exactly as is written. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace those with double quotes. So the OpenAI API key is replaced, and we're going to make this request. And this is what we get, right? We get a really long JSON listing, And one thing that we can do here is that I can say pipe this into a file on my desktop that is going to be called models.json. Now that that's downloaded, I can open this file on Visual Studio and get to see that these models are actually listed here. One thing that we can do, I can try to see if I search for all the object models. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just get their IDs and just going to print that on a new document, right? So these are the models that, this is the model listing that is available through that API to list these models. I'm sure if the image model is here. I think this is just for text and code. I'm not sure, but yeah. So this is the listing, and this is just to show that our API key works, right? That's a method to validate that the API key works, because if I actually run this with an API key that is wrong, this is going to tell me that I don't have a valid API key, right? And that is actually true, because that's not an actual API key. So we can verify that with my API key, this indeed works. All right, so go back to the documentation. We have all of the available docs here on the left, right? So we can see how to make requests, the models, the listing the models, retrieving a model, completions, images, edits, embeddings, blah, blah, blah. And what we're going to focus on today is images. So images, as we've seen before, allows us to do create image edit, or create image variation. And today I'm going to show an example that I already did with create image, right? And later we'll see how to do create edit. Maybe we can try also variations. So this is the generations API. And as I showed before, what we would need to provide is a text prompt that can be up to 1,000 characters, a number of images, so from 1 to 10, and then the size, and we can provide also the response format. So I showed before this, that is actually how to construct the curl request, how to, so these are just the parameters visualized as a JSON object, and this is the response that is indeed an array of URLs as responses for the generated images. So if I go to the next page, one thing I wanted to show here is that you can actually use this drop down here to change between curl, Python, and Node.js, which is effectively JavaScript. And those are the three supported at the moment languages, but you can actually make a request to these OpenAI APIs from anywhere that you can make like a post request, right? And that's virtually any programming language, like Go, TypeScript, C#, anything that you can think about. That's the power of an API. It's just an endpoint and a way to authenticate, and then a way to send the parameters. So with all of that, today we're gonna see this code in curl, and this was an example for what I constructed, that is calling the images generations endpoint. It's also specifying the content type is application JSON, that we're not going to change. The authorization bearer token or API key is my API key, as I showed before. And then my prompt here was a cute Pixar cartoon of a kid with freckles, with glasses, live streaming on YouTube, with a microphone arm, a standing desk, a monitor, a stream deck, and 2 key lights, digital art. I just asked for one image, and then I told it to be 1024 by 1024, and I got this response that you can see here, right? So this is like this gray text that I have behind me, which had that array with of data that just contained objects with a URL. And this is the result that I got with that prompt, right? So this is the image generation API, and that's the result we got. It's a 1024 by 1024 image. It is pretty good resolution. It has this kind of crayon cartoony look, And yeah, it's not exactly what I was thinking, but it's exactly representing what the elements that I was explaining here in my prompt. So if you have any ideas or things that we could try, prompts that we can try, you can put them on the chat and I'll be happy to test them with the API. Also note that there are some APIs on OpenAI that are free because they're in beta. This is not the case for the image generation API at the moment. And for the edits image, because that is the generate, so that's the generation API, right? So we can actually test more generations in a second. But what I wanted to try now, because I haven't tried this one yet through the API, is the image edits. The image edits endpoint allows you to edit and extend an image by uploading a mask. The transparent areas of the mask indicate where the image should be edited, and the prompt should describe the full new image, not just the erased area. This endpoint can enable experiences like the editor in our DALL-E preview app. All right, so this actually that DALL-E preview app, so you get some context. If we go to labs.openai.com, we're gonna get this application where we could actually the interesting thing here is that I could actually copy that prompt. So let me actually get it from this file that I have here. 1 second. All right, so this is the code for what I've shown on the presentation, and this is the code request, right? So I have here the entire prompt, so I could actually get this this prompt and put it here. So this is the exact same quote, and maybe we can put here 3D animation movie rendering 2022. So I'm just gonna click on generate here. As a member of the early closed beta, I have 100 tokens of, let's say, appreciation, they call them, and we actually get I think 15 tokens every month that you can use on a monthly basis. If you don't use them, they don't accumulate, they just renew. And yeah, these are pretty cool. So these are pretty awesome. These are a bit better of what I had thought with the other one, probably because this 3D animation movie rendering that I added, that has changed it a fair amount. All right, so let's try. Let me see what this was saying here. Okay, so let's try, for example, changing here. So if we do edits here, so if I do here, let's just change something here. And I'm gonna keep the same prompt, but I'm gonna working on a MacBook laptop, recording with a Sony Alpha mirrorless camera. And yeah, okay, so let's just do that. And what this is the API that we're going to use now through code, right, through terminal request. And right now we're using it with the DALL-E's publicly available API, right? All right, so we can see here, so this has like a laptop and something there that I don't know what it is. It changed the facial expression, some of the cables, and the clothing. And the same thing here. So we can see here some sort of tripod that is visible here with a camera. Here we have something that looks more like a keyboard and some headphones or something. Here we have the laptop, serious face, and some other things. And yeah, so these are all like um, related to what I asked, not exactly what I was thinking of for, but yeah. Okay, so let's now move into variations. So I'm liking this one, so I'm gonna ask for image variations, and what we'll get is modifications that of this image that have a lot of things in common, maybe more than we can realize, but are different, right? And for some reason it turned dark here. All right, so these are pretty cool. I mean, these are really nice, have really nice aesthetics. They all have glasses and more or less brown or red hair. All right, so this was just a quick test on the API that we've seen already before. And what I was showing here is what we need to submit a request to the edits API. And what I've prepared, right, is a prompt and a set of images. So here on the top right, we have, so on the top right, we have 3 images. This is an artwork by Edward Hopper on Cape Elizabeth. So it's called something like Lighthouse on 2 lights or in 2 lights or something like this. And what we can see is that I've made a blob, I've made it transparent in the mask preview, and the actual mask that I'm going to send is the one on the bottom. And no matter if I send the mask preview or the mask, any of these, because they have the same alpha channel, they would be working the same way, right? And I've made it so it edits also the black parts to see if it auto completes those parts, because the only part in which we have an image here is this landscape format artwork, right? So we don't have image on the black bands on the top and the bottom. So yeah, this is going to be a futuristic metallic structure with large glass panes and abundant vegetation. Okay, so let's go to the API. So we're going to take a look at the API. We're going to go to create image edit, and we're going to see this. Just one quick comment that I want to do in case that you're using DALL-E. If you go here to manage account and we go to usage, you can see your expenditure, right? I just put my payment method a few days ago, and you can see that one DALL-E image is 2 cents, and some tests that I was doing with GPT-3 are accrued like 1 cent. So you can play a lot with this. It won't be too expensive, but you know, this incurs some cost if you're gonna use it a lot. So be careful of what you the usage that you give it, and for sure make your API keys private, because if you don't, somebody can quickly use your API and incur a lot of costs. So for the billing, you go to your payment methods and do there, and then for the API keys, you have them here. I could create a new secret. I'm not going to do that right now because it will show up here publicly, and you can delete them, right? You must generate a new API key in order to revoke your only remaining key. So if I wanted to remove that, I will create new key and then remove that one. And you can track when it was last used, so you can track if somebody has used your keys or what has happened on your account. All right, so let's now go back to the documentation. I'm gonna look again for images and create image edit. And now we have this API documentation here that shows us the endpoint, a sample request in curl. As I said before, we can actually change from curl to Python, which is a bit more verbose, I see, and then Node.js. And the result would be the same. It's just different programming environments in which we're running this code, right? So what do we need that is required? So we need now 3 things. We need an image. So let me put this here so you can see it. So on the request body, we need an image, a mask image, and a prompt. So these three things are in red, they're required. And optionally, we can ask for like n, the amount, so the number of images to generate, the size of the image, the response format, and the user. So what do? I think we can ask for a few images, maybe 1024 or 512, right? And yeah, so let's construct the request. And one thing that I'll do is, instead of doing all of that on the command line directly, I'm gonna make a bash file, and we're gonna execute that bash file. Okay, so let's do here edit image. Actually, no. Let's actually do edit. Let's try one thing. Edit hopper. So image edit hopper. So I'm gonna open this on Visual Studio Code. I'm going to just try here something. So I'm just gonna try to see if the OpenAI variable, OpenAI key is available to this file, because it might not be. So we're gonna go to that folder, I'm gonna see my files, and we want to execute these files. So image edit hopper. All right, so it seems like if we have the environment variable defined on the terminal session, it's available to the bash file. You can see that if I do this here, it's gonna tell us that we don't have an authorization key that is valid, but in this tab, it does. Okay, so knowing that, now we can change our code here and we can execute it from the other page. So I'm gonna bring here, okay, so here I can see some messages held for review, which we're gonna hide. All right, and let's keep going. Again, if you're connecting with us live today, feel free to write any questions you have on the chat. Let us know where you're connecting from, and let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. All right, so let's put these maybe side by side so you can see it better. I'm not sure how we can do this. Let's open the API reference here. I'm going to put this here on the left and this code here on the right. And what I'm gonna do, I'm going to, let's see if this hides the menu. All right, so this hides the menu. So I'm gonna put my window here on this one here. Okay, so we have the create edit endpoint here on the left and the code on the right. Okay, so we're gonna change, so we're gonna get this post endpoint, which is, oh, this is edit. So let me actually look for the one that we're actually using. So this is create image edit. All right, so this is our endpoint. We are gonna put it here. So this is our new URL. Great. And if we run this right now, this is gonna complain because we can't get on that URL. So if we look at the example here, you can see that probably by adding some parameters there, we're implying that this is indeed a post request. I'm going to copy paste here, and well, actually let's code it. Let's write it here. So first we need f image, right? We're gonna put the name of an image here, which we don't have yet. We're gonna put here the mask and an image name. We're gonna put here the prompt, and maybe we can even make this a bit better. You can still see it. Okay, we have the prompt, which is going to be in here, and we have here the number of images that for now it's just going to be 1, and here we're going to write the size, which is going to be 1024 by 1024. All right, let's see what happens if I send a request to this endpoint empty failed to open local file. All right, yeah, so in here, if I look at the Hopper folder, you can see I have some other images here, and I do have the invisible mask here. So let's see. Yeah, and this one here. So these are the basically this part here that is sort of transparent is the part where the alpha mask is actually transparent, right? So I have these two. It doesn't matter which one we send, it's going to be the same. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this name, right? So the name of this image, which is in here, and let's actually change the name. So let's actually just put them like an img folder, so we make them a bit easier to write on our command. Great. So I'm gonna make this bigger. So I'm gonna make, so this is our image and this is our mask. And note that the name, you can specify whatever name, but for simplicity, I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna go back to Visual Studio Code, and here we're gonna have image, image.png, image, mask.png, right? So we need a prompt. So if we remove that, let's see if that still works. Great. So you must provide a prompt. So now we have the image, and we have the mask, and we have our prompt that we had here. So futuristic metallic structure with large glass panes and abundant vegetation. Futuristic metallic structure with large glass panes and abundant vegetation. All right, so we're just requesting one, and we're gonna get back the image URL because we're not specifying anything else. And I'm actually gonna add this other header here. So I'm gonna add here the content type is going to be application JSON. So this is one way to do it without application JSON. Actually, let's leave it like this, because this way we're providing the parameters here, and we can do this add to get the image file. It's easier JSON when you don't have this type of variables. All right, so let's try now. So let's cross our fingers and see if we're actually gonna get this image. So the image is now generating, so this is loading for us, and there should be something happening on the endpoint, right? All right, so we now have this URL that we've got as an output. So I'm just going to say open here, and this is gonna open in here. All right, so there is this okay, let's make this big. Okay, so this is the image that we've obtained. So we've removed the house that was here. It has continued this as a river, and has continued this as like vegetation / mountain, and it has put here something like a roof window that that shows up in here. The one thing the one thing that we didn't do that I think would be good to do. So the first thing, we're gonna store this. So let's store this as separate edits, so that way we can track back later. And we're gonna do here output. And what I'll do is I'm gonna write there or save the request file. Okay, so what I can do, image edit 01. And what we can do, I'm gonna copy this here. I'm gonna call it 2. So we're not gonna go to edit, and we're gonna go inside of image edit 2. And now I'm gonna modify the prompt. So that's what I wanna do. I wanna modify this prompt to edit the image in a different way. But one thing that we didn't do is that we didn't describe what was already present on that image, right? So the input image has some stuff, and we actually would like to describe it before we, at the same time that we say what we want to get in the edit, right? So let's leave this here. And now we're gonna remove this image part because we're on the same folder. And just a note, so you can keep track of how this works, right? If I go now to manage my account, you can see that on my usage, now we have 3 more cents. I mean, this is nothing, right? But we have used 2 cents because we have requested 1 image in 1024, right? So you get some idea on how the costs work. And here we're gonna do a lighthouse. Let's see, what part are we modifying? Let's actually copy here the mask preview. Mask preview. And I like this because that way you can see what you've actually removed. And if we check this input and output, all right. So let's copy this mask preview also to the other folder. All right, so I'm here and we're gonna describe this image. So a lighthouse with blue sky and green mountain. So next to a terracotta castle from Game of Thrones, and dragons flying on the sky. Let's see at dawn. So this, we're just telling it to modify this part, but the context here is not done. So I'm just gonna maybe, all right, so let's just request this one. And this is at edit sh. One thing that you can do to make sure that you're requesting for the right thing with bash files is cat. So you print here the contents of this file. And what we're gonna do is clear sh or bash and then edit sh. And we're gonna generate another image. One thing that we can do here for like to have a sense of progress is say here requesting image edit, right? And we're gonna get that we're just gonna get that printed on screen. Okay, one sec. Oh, actually I sent the request, but I stopped it. So probably the request is sent, but I never got back the image. So that's an interesting case that I shouldn't have done, but yeah, I'm not really sure if that actually got generated. Yeah, so it did get generated. And I'm not sure if you get a sense of So when you go to documentation, examples, playground. Yeah, I'm not sure. All right, so let's actually, what I did here is dumb, so I should have done echo. All right, so I now call it again, and now we can see requesting image edit, and we'll get a URL now when this generation is completed. Okay, again, so we have here the URL. I'm not sure if there's a way to get a like a history or something. All right, so this is a bit better. I mean, this has some more context for what we said, right? So it matches a bit more what I was expecting to get out of this one. All right, so we can image output. So we have replaced the houses with a mountain and some sort of castle buildings and a dragon. And now I guess what we can do now, if we like this one, what we can do is call the variations endpoint and wrap it up. So if we go to the documentation, we go to image images, create image variation, and we have here that we only need to send an image, right? So we only need to send an image and say how many we want back. And I'm gonna ask for 2 variations, and then from there we can keep varying or seeing what we like. Okay, so here we're gonna do image variation 0, so 0 is 3. I'm gonna name these ones like this. Okay, so image variation and all right, and what do we need to do to run this? Require image variations, and here we just need image, so we don't need anything else, and we don't need a prompt. We just need these 2 and variations, I guess. Let's try to see. So it's images variations. Okay, and yeah, it seems like we got it. So we're gonna make sure we have this one, image output. Great. And we're gonna get variations of this one, not this one. So I'm gonna delete this one. I'm gonna put here this concept of input instead of image, very clear. And we need to change that here. So this is gonna be input, and let's go back to that folder. So this is 03. And all right, so we will do here sh variations, requesting image variations, and note that we're sending, oh, I just requested 1 variation, not more than 1. So we're not gonna get more than 1. Okay, so let's see what we get, and we can get more variations and continue trying here. Nice, okay. Something. All right, so maybe let's start from scratch, and we just use the generation, image generation, and we do here generate, and we don't need any of these. So for this one, we really didn't need any of these. And for image variation, we just need a prompt. So generate, I think it's the API. Create generations. Okay, generations. Requesting image generations, and we don't need an input here. We need a prompt, and we're gonna put a lighthouse by the sea castle. Well, let's just describe what we had on the other image. A lighthouse by the sea over greenery. A blue sky, a few white clouds. We're a green field with the clouds. That's it, right? I mean, this is by Edward Hopper. This is what we got. All right, so we're gonna ask for 3 for this one. So we're gonna go into O4 image generation, and we're gonna do sh generate requesting image generation. Invalid content type header. Bound expect application JSON. All right, so this one actually has a different content type that it expects. So it expects content type application JSON with this format that we have here. So I'm actually going to simply copy and paste here. We're going to move this line there, and we're going to change this here and request 3 images, and actually just format this as prompt. All right, so we got our JSON there, and yep, so we're gonna try again. Okay, so this should be now generating. It's nice to get some errors that tell us what's going wrong, and now we have 3 images here. All right, not really looking like Edward Hopper to me. This one, pretty plain. I think when they change to the latest model, the modifiers of the painters are not as good. I mean, this one looks okay, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it has any context to know. So maybe a lighthouse by the sea, with the blue sky and a few white clouds in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, drawn by Edward Hopper. All right, let's get one like this one. And this indeed, actually, if you have noticed, is a different generation. So it's going to be the 5th image generation that is different from the one that we had before, that I'm going to leave here. And this I do so we can keep track of the prompts with their corresponding images. All right, here we have our generation. Okay, this now looks really similar to the style of image that we have here on the left, right? So it's starting to look a lot more like it. And I think we could even go as far as to requesting more generations with this prompt, but maybe like more number and smaller. So let's say we get 10 here, and we go to 256 by 256, a lighthouse by the sea with a blue sky and a few white clouds in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, drawn by Edward Hopper. Let's actually see what we want changed from here. an oil painting of a lighthouse with hit by the sun. Well, let's just leave it like this. And this is 6. Okay. All right. An old painting of a lighthouse by the sea, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now I go to 06. 06 disappeared. So this is, I guess, 07. Not sure. Okay. Oh, 06. All right. So let's do generate this. And one thing that is a bit annoying is that we have to copy and paste the URLs by hand. So I'm now gonna, so we're getting here 10. So I'm just gonna copy and paste these ones and open them with the terminal. So what I'm gonna do, I'm getting here the URLs and replacing this with open, and I'm simply going to run this here. So if we bring, okay, we have this here, so we just say open this ones. So it's gonna open our 10 images here. So we had this one from before, this one, this one, this one, this one. We've saved that, and we've saved that one. All right, so we have here our lighthouses, which are pretty nice. These ones I'm starting to like a lot. And I'm gonna save here and close. All right, so this is what these ones look like. I think I particularly like this one. It looks a lot like these lighthouses. Oh, that's really pixelated. These lighthouses in the United States. And this one looks really similar as well. Okay, so I guess now what we could do, if we've liked a few of them, right, we could get the one we like. So for example, I like this one because of the colors and things. And I'm gonna get image variations of this one particularly. And I'm gonna go to variations. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna set this name to input. I'm gonna open this here, and we have everything set up. So we just go to this folder. So I'm doing cd and dragging this file. You'll have to remove the file name. I have some things down here on my terminal. And once you have that we're here, I'm gonna, well, first I'm gonna open variations to see how many we are requesting. And we're gonna get, let's get 3. So let's get 3 variations here. And right. All right, so I'm requesting variations of this image now. So we're kind of parting ways. I was trying to describe the image that we had originally with words, right? So the image that we had. And here we're gonna have to go and do the same thing again, which is rendering fairly annoying. So we do here a URL, we just put here open, and then we copy and paste this. And so this one is the one that's there. And I just open those. All right, so here we get these ones, and we're getting fairly low resolution now because we're requesting outputs at 1024, but the input is at 256. So maybe this is the reason why we see these images with these size, right? So I liked a lot this one also because you can see that the more we generate, the easier it is for us to like something, right? Because we can discern between different images. So now we're just gonna get, let's say, let's get 5 images of an old painting of a lighthouse by the sea with a blue sky and a few white clouds in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, drawn by Edward Hopper, in the style of a city in Game of Thrones with in the style of a Game of Thrones citadel with dragons flying in the skies. So we're gonna generate this. I'm gonna do this. I recommend actually 1024 because for the price difference, the quality of those images is so much better. And yeah, so we're gonna go here. We're gonna make sure we have the thing as we want it. And I'm just gonna do here sh generate, and that's it. And we're going to generate now 5 images, I believe, and I'll have to once again get them one by one through here, right? So I'm already thinking that if you're gonna build an API, you would get here a better workflow to do this, right? Okay. All right. So this has some artifacts, not super good. Okay. Yep. Okay. So we're gonna have to go really soon. Okay. All right. So we've done this exercise that I was trying to get to. So I think that's pretty cool. This is basically the end. So we're gonna wrap it up today. It was I think a short live stream. I'm not sure how long we've been going for. It was a short overview on how you can use the image API of OpenAI to generate, edit, and request image variations. Make sure that you subscribe and click on the bell if you want to get notified when I go live next or when I upload new videos, and give me the thumbs up with a like if you're enjoying this type of streams. I actually have to say sorry for the people who connected yesterday or tried to watch yesterday's live stream, because I was on mute all the time because I'm playing around with this Stream Deck lately. So if you were one of those, I'm sorry, but I'll try to do a better job. So a quick recap of what we've seen. You have to log in or sign up to the website. Make sure that you check. You might have a free trial usage for the first month or the first month in the API, so you don't have to add a payment method, and you have like a bunch of dollars there that you can use for generating or using any other APIs. And you will have to add a payment method if you don't have any trial money, and after that you're going to be able to use the API. So it won't work until you do that. You have to create an API key and see how to authenticate, as we've seen today. The pricing of DALL-E, you're gonna get I think 15 credits a month if you sign up right now at 1024, and you'll get actually 4 images generated every time you put a prompt. So that actually, if we calculate related to here, that is 15 prompts for 4 images. That's like they're giving you $1 or $1.2 a month, so you can use it for free. And the price between the lower and the higher resolution, it's actually not that different, so you don't really save that much. And I've seen that the lower resolution actually gets poor results, so 1024 is probably more worth it. And yeah, so we've looked at the image generation API. We've seen how to do this. We haven't tried with Python or Node.js or other programming languages, but as I said, it's pretty straightforward. If you look for how to make post requests, you actually have the code in here, so you have full examples and you can just run with that. Make sure that you don't expose your API keys, or somebody else might be using your account and your money to generate images. The thing we mentioned for the mask is just that you only care about the transparent alpha mask, not the contents of the rest of the image when you edit an image. And that the image variation is pretty cool if you want to modify or generate images that look similar to what you have, but not exactly. The API key we exposed on terminal. We saw how to list models, how to make a request. So this was one example that we made. And we also make image edits and image variations. So yeah, I think that's it. The only comment I'll do as a recommendation here is, so you have your API keys in here. So if it gets exposed at any moment, just make sure that you create a new one, delete it, because that way you won't be getting it exposed. And make sure to get some usage limits. So for example, this is my current usage. It will send me, I think, a notification email if I go over $5. So that means that if somebody else gets my account and they start using it, the hard limit is going to be $10. So they won't be able to spend more, and the soft limit is going to be 5, where they will notify me. So for example here, maybe I can put it to 2 because I'm not planning on using it. So if I use it in the short run, or I do some operations that I didn't intend to do, this is all that they can charge me for, right? So yeah, make sure you set your limits. And yeah, thanks a lot for people who are connecting online. I can see some people, Jose Luis Garcia del Castillo, Alessandro Fardone Cianelli. I believe that this is the first time that I see you online, and I recognize names here from Mamadou Kali and Mohamed El Mesawi. So thanks a lot for being there. I have seen also that Jose Luis Garcia del Castillo, that is here with us, is actually also covering DALL-E on his channel. So I would recommend you, I believe he's doing something with DALL-E today. Okay, so you can go to his live stream in 38 minutes. So I'm gonna post a link here. So if you wanna parametric camps stream later today. And yeah, so thanks everyone. I hope to see you next time. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Leave any comments on the video if you're watching this offline, if you want to ask any questions, if you want to propose topics. And don't forget to join the Discord community. So it's on Discord at None of the Masas Discord. You're gonna be able to get the invite. Okay, I wasn't sharing screen, and I was trying to show this, that in 37 minutes, Jose Luis Garcia del Castillo is going to be covering similar topics, I believe. And let's continue trying the new OpenAI DALL-E. So yeah, I put the link on the chat. Thanks a lot for connecting, and I'll see you next time.